Welcome back to In Their Boots. In the studio with us now live is Taryn Davis, Army widow, whose story we heard in today's real story. Taryn, thanks for being a part of the show today.
Hi, Dan.
Thanks for being on In the Boots. Now in our real story, we left you describing kind of the depths of your sorrow. I think that's hard for most anyone to fathom. Can you talk about expectations that people have of you and your grief and how you deal with them?
Well, what I realized is when you lose your spouse, you're thrown into a world that you don't know what you're doing, and you really don't have anybody to look at as an example, especially being a military widow or widower where your population is very small. So you're grasping for examples, and when you can't find them, you have no other choice but to think that you need to go off what family and friends are telling you. You're young, you'll move on. If you will get remarried, everything will be okay. Time heals all wounds. Where I've learned in the past year that I don't want to get remarried. I'm still in love with my husband. Time doesn't heal all wounds. It just builds a scar over it. So when new things do come up, you can tolerate it a little bit better. So I've just learned that you need to pave your own path, especially being a military widow, and it's scary to do that. You don't know where it's going to take you, but it's when you finally let go of trying to meet the expectations of society and understanding that you're different now and that you're starting a new world without your spouse that you really can move forward.
Okay. We have a question now from one of our viewers. He's typed it in. It's a text message. I'm going to read that to you now. This is from Don Bennett. Is there something more that the government can do to help on our military widows?
I think the government and the military do all that they can to really make sure your husband gets there okay, and to make sure that in those first few weeks things are set out and planned. As far as the emotional aspects go, that's kind of where I found a need, and that's why I created the AWP. Yeah. But I think one of the ways they can help us is, with our upcoming AWP tour, where we're hoping to go to these military bases and show this to the widows and the soldiers and the chaplains and the CAOs. So I always have room for improvement, so I believe everybody can always, reach a little higher.
Yeah. Now, in the story, the real story today, Taryn, we saw your parents. Can you talk about how they're dealing with your grief as well as theirs?
My parents have told many people that the day they lost Michael, they lost me too. And I think it's been a big struggle for them to learn how he was a son to them. It was the first guy to come over and sit on the couch. It was the first guy to, deal with my dad, threatening him if he, ever did anything with me. And for them to see almost a deterioration of the daughter that they had raised with the loss of Michael, I think it was very difficult for them. But with this 1 year point, they really have come around, and they've stopped trying to be the parents that want to try to help their daughter. And they've realized that they just need to be there when I fall, and they need to be there when I rise. And that's all that they can do. Yeah.
Beyond your family, or maybe even including your family, what are the best ways that people around you, family and friends, can support you with where you're at right now?
Talk about their husband or their son-in-law or their son. Keep his name so common in the house as if he were never as if he never died. And I think it's when they do things like that and they keep his memory alive, and they don't try to brush it under the rug because they don't know what will happen when they say it, that things will really happen. And I've been more open. I always say, Michael this, Michael that. And even my parents, Taryn, what would Michael say? And even though I hate when they say it, sometimes I realize that they really are understanding. And even though time goes on and you think that you're going to forget certain things about him, it's when people grasp onto the things that he did when he was alive and integrate that into their own lives that you realize that he never did leave you.
Yeah. Well, Taryn, thank you for sharing your story, being here in the studio with us today, and giving us such a honest look at such a trying time in your life.
Thanks for having me in their boots has been a great way for at least me to share my story, so hopefully others will share theirs as well.
We look forward to next week when we will see, and the coming weeks I should say, when we'll see chapter 2 and 3. We regret to inform you and the changes that are going to unfold in your life there.
Thank you, Jan.
Thank you. If you'd like to see more of the conversation we had here today with Taryn, check out the extended interviews section on our website. You can also check out the Solutions tab while you're there, which should have links to organizations in place to aid and support those grieving. When we come back, we're going to be talking with Jim Sheeler as he details the experiences he had with families who've lost their loved ones to the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. If you have any questions, get them ready and send them our way. We'll be answering them just after the break.
Bastogne, Okinawa, Incheon, Da Nang, Desert Storm, Baghdad. I stare at photos like these and I think about the men and women who never made it back and wonder why I did. Some vets wonder who was luckier. If you have days like that and they turn into weeks and months, there's something you need to do before they turn into years or worse. Call the National Veterans Foundation. There's always a vet by the phone to advise you on VA issues, help out with drug and alcohol problems, or just listen and really understand. I'm Dan Lauria. I was proud to serve my country during Vietnam, and now I'm proud to serve the National Veterans Foundation. We've been around for over 20 years. Since wars don't seem to be going away anytime soon, neither will we. You can count on it.
War happens, and we must be prepared. They are fought on different soils, and for very different reasons. Each generation has and must push through their own. Through the generations, the same loyal breed has served for what was right. So come and join your brothers and sisters.
Veterans, log on and find your local post today.